Good morning. Mike France, represent the 42nd District, which is Ledyard, Preston, and Montville. And Chairman Butler, good to see you again. Senators, appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion. One of the things that I think we heard about Three Rivers and their importance of the technical programs that they have. I think there's another aspect within Connecticut, and I'm not sure about Rhode Island, but we have our technical high schools. I think expanding the relationship between the technical high schools and the community helps, because we have a number of, we look at the unemployment rate of the young people graduating from high school and not going on to college. It's a challenge, and that's an opportunity for people to come out who are not ready for college and have a trade that they go right into. It's one of the challenges of the traditional high school path of finding work beyond that if you don't go to college. I think that's something that we should explore as well. So thank you very much. I'm encouraged by a lot of the discussion around here. I want to pick up on a point that Chris made concerning the capacity of our graduating seniors to enter the workforce and where they were maybe a generation or two ago, and now that maybe at 25 was the example. And what I hear, a lot of the programs that we have established are reactionary. We're identifying that group, 18 to 25, and we're creating programs at the community college, or we're creating workforce transition programs, but it's reactionary. I am encouraged by a lot of the discussion about engaging in the junior high school, 7th and 8th grade time frame. One of the things that came out of that, and it goes back to my background in engineering and submarine construction, is that, the design-build process. If you make a change at the last minute, the cost is significant. And I see the same thing here. What we have is this workforce, 18 to 25, and we're now trying to fix what a generation or two ago would have been ready to work after high school. In Connecticut, we have the technical high school program. The challenge in some ways there in Connecticut is a capacity issue. We have twice as many applicants for the seats that are there. And there isn't, as was raised, the perception of what the manufacturing world is not the reality of today. And so that pressure, and if we simplistically look at it, we're asking 13-year-olds to make a decision. Am I going to go to college? Because our high school programs in the public schools have essentially become a pathway to college. As was mentioned earlier, our shop classes have really effectively gone away in most schools, and there are some good partnerships going isolated. But we're asking those 13-year-olds to say, am I going to go to college, or am I going to swing a hammer? That's a little simplistic, but that's essentially what we're asking them to do. And you look at the outcomes. If their parents looked at their outcomes and they either didn't go to college right away or they didn't finish college right away, and they see their economic outcome of their families as negatively impacted by that decision or that ability to afford college or for whatever reason, the pressure on that 8th grader to go to that college track is immense. While I will acknowledge, I came out of high school, I lasted 5 weeks in college, joined the Navy, 3 years later went back to college. Today, that couldn't happen. One, the military is not taking as many people as they were then. So the opportunities for that 18-year-old who ends up in where they think is going to go to college and then makes that decision as a senior graduate and goes, I didn't go, I can't afford to go, or I get into college and it isn't for me, they have no place to go. And so one of the things that I think that we need to realize is we are asking 13-year-olds to make a decision that a generation or two ago could have a different outcome. Once they're in high school, they'll figure out by the end of freshman year or even sophomore year that college is not in their future for whatever reason. But there's no place for them to go at that point. And I think we need to look at that window of opportunity, and once again, going back to the capacity issue, there's a capacity issue within our technical high schools, but looking at how do we take that student who finishes freshman year, and for general trade is in level 3 classes, which is a state minimum, getting B's and C's, barely making it, maybe college isn't the right choice, and how do we get them into a pathway to a technical education, whether it be through the technical high schools or through some of these programs that are being discussed in a more formal way, and how do we do that? And I think that's something we need to really look at so that we're not reactionary and waiting for the child to graduate and they go, what do I do now? And then trying to fix it, and trying to be a little more proactive on the front end, and how do we manage and really identify that as a proposition. Our high schools have changed their focus and what they do, and really are focused on putting people in college in general, and how do we serve the other part of that community that goes into those schools.